Who is it? Witnessing the sheer, devastating might of those ice blades, Owen couldn't help but crane his neck, scanning the surroundings. A figure, tall and powerfully built, materialized before him. In the next breath, that silhouette vanished, shifting over 20 meters in an instant blur. Then, with a single, fluid flick of his spear, the force was absolute. Owen watched, stunned, as the thick-skinned, armored rhinoceros crumpled, reduced to nothing more than scattered fragments of bone and sinew in a heartbeat. It was undeniable. This figure was none other than Ethan, the undisputed champion of the freshman competition from the year 2052. Yet, despite his victory, Ethan appeared profoundly wary, a man who looked as if he had spent too long navigating the grimy depths of an underground world. "My apologies," Ethan said, a faint air of regret accompanying his words. "I didn't mean to encroach on your quarry. How about we split the value of this crystal?" He had simply seen the glittering promise of evolution points and couldn't resist making a move. As for the blue star coins afterward, that was secondary. While they spoke of splitting it, the truth was he could have simply claimed everything in front of him. The system notification chimed softly, confirming a substantial haul from defeating the Tier 3 low-rank ferocious beast, the armored rhinoceros, and gaining 3,600 evolution points. Ethan, it's you." Owen's recognition was immediate, laced with an unmistakable spark of awe and excitement. "Wes." Ethan smiled faintly, observing the look in Owen's eyes, a gaze that bordered on devoted admiration. "Brother Ethan, are you heading back?" "I'm going too. Let's go together." Owen extended a warm, inviting gesture. He was simply desperate to witness firsthand the true strength of a low-tier third-grade beast. Now that his objective was achieved, and since he couldn't manage the situation further for the moment, returning home was the logical next step. "Wes," Ethan nodded in agreement. "All right then." A flash of light erupted from the spatial ring on Owen's finger and a sleek SUV materialized before them. Ethan froze, his initial shock quickly giving way to internal calculation. A spatial ring with such immense capacity. It must be astronomically expensive. This person must be incredibly wealthy. After both of them settled into the car, Ethan finally spoke. "By the way, I still don't know your name." Owen smiled easily, replying, "My name is Owen. If nothing unexpected happens, I should also be one of your team members in the prestigious freshman competition from the 4 top universities." "Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you." Ethan extended his hand for a handshake. He knew the university competition was a 5-person team effort. He had identified the top 4 himself: Clara, Dami, Marcus. Therefore, the unfamiliar person before him must be the 5th-place winner. After a brief exchange, Ethan settled into Owen's SUV as it pulled away at an increased speed. Moreover, within the confines of this off-road vehicle, Ethan could finally close his eyes, relax his mind and recover some much-needed rest. A day later, Owen's SUV rolled into Aethelberg's citadel. Its presence immediately drew the attention of a cluster of nearby students, sparking immediate murmurs and discussions. Ethan and Owen stepped out of the vehicle. After resting, Ethan looked significantly better. His entire demeanor had regained its radiant luster. Their faces, or rather, Ethan's face, were instantly recognizable to many students. "Brother Ethan, look at you. You've become a veritable star," Owen teased with a grin. Ethan offered a wry smile. "If I could choose, I would prefer not to be the subject of so much talk, even if it is positive." Leaving the underground world and returning to the surface, the two headed toward the loot exchange point to trade their spoils. "Hello, you two. Are you here for an appraisal?" The staff member at the counter greeted them with noticeable enthusiasm. He muttered in reply. Owen suggested that Ethan go first. He was intensely curious about what treasures had left him so utterly exhausted. "Since Owen wants to see it, let him see." Ethan smiled faintly, and a flash of light emanated from the ice-blue spatial ring on his hand. Then, an astonishing cascade of spoils tumbled into the large basin designated by the staff. "Fool." The staff member gasped, and Owen himself was momentarily stunned. Ethan had killed so many ferocious beasts. I still have a few more in my spatial ring." Ethan chuckled, scratching his head. He gathered the remaining items and placed them on the ground. "You possess quite an impressive haul. I will call 2 more people to assist us with the count." The staff member murmured, visibly taken aback. "Thank you for your help," Ethan replied smoothly. Brother Ethan, you are truly something else, eh? Owen exclaimed in open admiration, giving a vigorous thumbs up. Ethan simply smiled and remained silent. Soon, 3 staff members arrived. One of them was the same man who had appraised Ethan's spoils after the freshman competition. A second-tier high-level ferocious beast crystal, the blue-spotted tiger penis. The 3 men began counting the bounty brought by Ethan. Suddenly, the staff member who knew him best halted his work and stared at Ethan with utter disbelief. He exclaimed in profound astonishment, "Such a massive crystal. This is the crystal of a Tier 3 high-level ferocious beast. And its color is ice blue. Could this be the Frost Lion's core?" Having spent years inspecting war spoils, he was certain of his assessment. But it was truly unbelievable that a freshman who had just completed the competition managed to slay a Tier 3 upper realm Frost Lion. "Brother, you have an exceptional eye. You can identify this," Ethan responded with a casual smile. Hearing those words, the other 2 staff members did not seem surprised, as they were unaware that he was merely a freshman. Owen, however, felt a flush of heat crawl up his neck at the sudden intensity of the appraisal. "Did I hear that correctly? Brother Ethan, a Tier 3 upper realm ice lion." After he confirmed the staff member's assessment, Owen was even more dumbfounded. A newcomer slaying a beast at the upper echelon of the 3rd tier. How could those 2 facts coexist? Ultimately, after the staff completed their inventory and set aside compensation for Owen's half-crystal share, Ethan walked away with an astounding 9.3 million blue star coins, nearly double what he had earned during his last foray into the underground world. As Ethan walked out of the building with Owen, his gaze snagged on a figure waiting just outside the threshold. A girl tall and striking with hair the color of polished silver stood motionless. Her expression was an absolute void of perfect, glacial stillness that suggested she was carved from pure ice. Around her, several male students milled about. Their movements feigned carelessness. In truth, they were merely orbiting her, desperate for a glimpse of her breathtaking beauty. Ethan instantly recognized the silver-haired girl Sarah, the formidable captain of the Silver Wolf team, and currently the undisputed strongest student at Aethelgard Academy. The moment she came into view, Owen's face erupted in a burst of delighted surprise. "Sister, what are you doing here?" he cried out, abandoning all pretense as he rushed toward her. They both share the surname Jiang, Ethan mused internally, watching them approach. So they must be siblings. But their appearances couldn't be more different. It's unlikely they share blood. He lowered his head slightly, letting the thought settle in his mind. When he had heard Owen's name earlier, this question had surfaced. The shared surname was a puzzle. Yet now Owen had so openly addressed her as sister, the truth felt suddenly inevitable. Meanwhile, Sarah's arrival caused a ripple of excitement among the surrounding students. She continued, her voice taking on a tone of gentle admonishment. "Tell your family before you venture into the deep vaults next time, so they don't worry themselves sick." As she spoke, Sarah handed Owen the number she had used to call his aunt. "Olivia," he murmured into the phone, his voice thick with genuine remorse. "I am so sorry. I was genuinely panicked when I couldn't reach you all day. I never imagined you would be in the deep vaults." The first thing Owen's mother said upon connecting was an apology. "I'm sorry, Mum," he replied softly, "for making you worry. I promise I will let you know before I go into the deep vaults again." A wave of shared emotion passed between them. After exchanging a few more words, the mother and son ended the call, switching to the convenience of QQ chat. The phone, after all, still belonged to Sarah. Once the matter was settled, Sarah departed with her cousin trailing close behind. "Sister," Owen began, his tone shifting to one of playful curiosity. "Do you who I met in the deep vaults?" Though Owen had awakened an S-level poison ability, his personality lacked the sinister edge of the dangerous practitioners described in novels. He was, instead, vibrant and lively. "Ethan," Sarah stated, her tone coolly detached. When they emerged, Ethan stood right beside his cousin, making him impossible to miss. Owen let out a theatrical chuckle. "Hee, sis. Stop pressuring me to cultivate. Now it's your turn to get serious with your training too." He nudged Ethan playfully. "Brother Ethan, you're already soloing Tier 3 high-level beasts. You'll surpass me soon enough." "You speak as if you are quite proud of yourself," Sarah countered, a faint hint of amusement touching her voice. "Why do you worry about others?" she asked, though the question was laced with concern. "The freshman competition from the 4 top universities starts in just over a week. How is your training progressing?" Despite her composed exterior, a flicker of disbelief crossed her face. Her bluish-purple pupils trembled slightly. "How long has it been?" Only 1 month into the semester, and Ethan had already managed to kill a Tier 3 high-level ferocious beast. Later, Ethan headed to the mission center to submit his tasks, successfully upgrading his mission level to 3. This achievement immediately drew the attention of many students within the hall. The sudden display of power sent a palpable shock wave through their young minds, tinged with a sharp pang of professional envy. After filling his stomach, Ethan returned to his dormitory. He recalled that all students selected by advisors enjoyed complete freedom in choosing their courses, ranging from various weapon disciplines and elixirs refining to potion manufacture and body tempering techniques. Students choose, or even opt out entirely. Ordinary students had some limited choice, but skipping classes completely was impossible. Ethan himself had been assigned by instructors from the Ice Department Academy, yet he still technically enrolled in a course. Coincidentally, it was his class time. The dormitory wing was deserted. Ethan ascended the stairs to the 2nd floor, took a shower, and entered his room. In the quiet of his bedroom, Ethan summoned the system panel. His name was the Fan. He possessed 60,000 evolution points. His spirit strength measured 654 Hz. His quiet blood capacity amounted to 1,391 calories. His realm level stood at upper 2nd tier, with an upward arrow indicating potential growth. His skills included marksmanship, which he had mastered, melee combat, which was intermediate and showed potential for improvement, ice shard ring, which was advanced but only at a D rank and also showed potential for improvement. Ice Flash, which was intermediate and showed potential for improvement, Ice Blade, which was intermediate and showed potential for improvement, Frozen Shield, which was intermediate and showed potential for improvement, Ice Blast, which was intermediate and showed potential for improvement, Detective Skill, which was advanced and showed potential for improvement, Extreme Ice Illusion Killing RA, which was beginner level but possessed a double S- rank, and also showed potential for improvement. His body bring technique was Profound Nether Ice Soul Body, rated S and currently at 2nd level, with upward arrow indicating potential growth. Realm, add some points. The evolution points dropped by 16,000. His realm advanced from upper 2nd tier to lower 3rd tier. After consuming 16,000 evolution points, an unprecedented surge of massive ice elemental energy erupted within his body, feeling like a tidal wave of cold power. Nearly 3 hours later, Ethan slowly opened his eyes. The first thing he registered was the palpable increase in his own attributes. He summoned the panel again and studied the numbers. His spirit strength had risen to 764 Hz. His ki and blood capacity now amounted to 1,651 calories. "It cost me so many evolution points," Ethan murmured softly, but thankfully, the improvement is substantial. With 40,000 evolution points remaining, he focused his intent on his body tempering technique. Add points. Add points to everyone. The evolution points dropped by 20,000. His mysterious ice soul body advanced from 2nd level to 3rd level. In an instant, Ethan frowned, feeling as if every single meridian in his body, large and small, was being flash frozen by ice. Because human endurance has its limits, the sensation was not unbearable, but it was intense. The meridians that had been frozen solid began to melt away, only to freeze again. Through this relentless cycle of freezing and thawing, the impurities within Ethan's circulatory system were washed clean. He was tempered to an extreme degree. When the process finally ceased, no pain remained, replaced instead by a profound sense of ease. He checked his attributes once more. His mental scale measured 824 Hz. His QI capacity amounted to 2,051 calories. My Ki and blood capacity has exceeded 2,000 calories. Ethan's eyes lit up with genuine excitement. He now felt as if he could flick a cow away with nothing more than a single finger. 20,000 evolution points remain, but a slow, determined smile spread across his face. Add points to everyone. Having of the torrent of memories, Ethan realized with a jolt that his maximum displacement distance had surged to 40 meters. It was a staggering 60% improvement. The accumulation of power was relentless, the points continued to drain away. These skills were all a level, and the leaps from intermediate to advanced proficiency represented a monumental surge of power and estimated 80 to 90% increase in capability. Then came the final expenditure. This ice explosion technique had once been a devastating move, one Ethan could only unleash once, even after draining every last drop of internal energy. But with the expansion of his body's energy capacity, and the assimilation of the far more potent SS rank skill, extreme ice illusion killing RA, what was once a desperate measure now felt almost trivial. Though it remained a powerful trick, Ethan could wield it freely. After fully integrating these memories, he found himself breathless. As expected of an S-rank ability, the proficiency level had risen by a staggering 120%, even though only a single tier advanced. It was utterly terrifying. Finally, Ethan allocated points to his most devastating skill, at present the SS level, Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array. Having officially broken through to the lower third tier of cultivation and significantly boosting his body tempering technique, Ethan's capacity for ice elemental energy had swelled exponentially. He could now unleash the full might of the Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array, even at an intermediate proficiency level. Even advancing from beginner to intermediate with a skill-rated SS level resulted in a 70% improvement, a truly remarkable feat. At this moment, Ethan had reached an almost unbelievable zenith. A satisfied, almost predatory smile curved Ethan's lips as he looked at the screen before him. He genuinely did not know how the other teams in the top 4 universities' freshman competition were supposed to cope. After his mind had processed the memories multiple times, a profound wave of exhaustion washed over him. He collapsed to the large bed, closed his eyes, and surrendered himself to a deep, restorative sleep. When Ethan finally awoke, the morning sun was already high in the sky. The moment he sat up, he almost reflexively reached for his phone beside the pillow. The time read 7:49 a.m. A message from his teacher, Thomas, flashed across the screen. The principal had requested that Ethan report to the main office before 9 o'clock. And Thomas was relaying the message on his behalf. Plenty of time remained, they had over an hour. As Ethan headed toward the nearest cafeteria for a late breakfast, several familiar faces appeared one after another. There was Marcus, who had challenged him earlier, Daniel, his opponent from the freshman competition, and Owen, whom he had met in the deep vaults. Upon spotting Ethan at a corner table, they all instinctively gravitated toward him, taking seats around him. As the saying went, no fight, no friendship, but today, it felt more like an immediate reunion. After a few minutes of catching up, their familiarity grew quickly. The groupie began mimicking Marcus's habit, calling Ethan Brother Bears X and Brother XX in rapid succession. Soon, a peculiar, self-proud 4-person sworn brotherhood had formed within the bustling cafeteria. The atmosphere was suddenly disrupted by the arrival of 2 graceful young women who walked into the hall, drawing the attention of nearly every male student. One girl possessed an average, delicate beauty. The other was stunningly gorgeous, with a figure and long legs that made it impossible for any teenage boy to look away. These were Clara and her best friend, Amelia, who were heading toward the principal's office. Feeling the intense weight of countless gazes, Clara shook her head slightly, sighing inwardly. Sigh. Being too beautiful isn't always a blessing. After purchasing their meals, Clara spotted Ethan and his group. Her almond-shaped eyes brightened instantly. She took Amelia by the arm and approached the table. "Hello, may I sit here?" she asked softly. The group answered in unison, "Wes, of course you can." After a brief exchange, it became clear that all 5 of them were scheduled to be called to the principal's office. It was an obvious deduction that Clara would also be summoned. There was a comfortable gap between Daniel and Ethan, enough for 2 people to sit easily, so Clara took the opportunity to settle there. As for Amelia, she paused thoughtfully before deciding to take a seat directly across from him. After breakfast, the group proceeded toward the principal's office together, while Amelia headed off to the teaching building. Knock, knock. Ethan, leading the way, rapped lightly on the door of the main office. "Come in." Robert's voice boomed through the hall, echoing clearly for all to hear. Upon hearing his reply, Ethan opened the door, and the group filed inside one by one. "Is it common now for you all to come in groups?" unlike his usual dignified bearing. Robert smiled faintly this time. He then continued, "Do you know why I called the five of you here?" Without hesitation, Ethan replied, "You've gathered us to discuss the freshman competition teams from the 4 prestigious universities. Haven't he? The 5 people present were indeed the top 5 contenders in the national freshman competition." It was an inescapable conclusion. "Good." Robert nodded slowly and continued, "The 4 famous universities' freshman competition is fast approaching. You should all have cultivated enough strength by now. Now, it is time to form teams and conduct specialized inter-team training." He paused, his gaze sweeping over them. "As for who the captain shall be, that decision rests with the 5 of you. I will not interfere." The moment Robert finished speaking, the other 4 people except Ethan all pointed at him, indicating that he should assume the role of team leader. "The captain has made his choice, Ethan. You will be responsible for developing the team's combat tactics. Here is a document outlining the previous training plan." Robert immediately added Ethan on QQ and forwarded the file. "Yes, Principal Robert." Ethan's eyes were steady and resolute. Robert offered further instructions, directing that Ethan and the other 4 could proceed straight to the venue for the 4 famous universities' freshman competition training. Ethan nodded, absorbing the directive. Once they left the principal's office, the group arrived at the sprawling grounds of the prestigious freshman competition. The hall was immense, a cavernous space echoing with potential energy. Before them, behind them, and to their sides, 5 designated chairs stood ready for entry into the virtual world. This arrangement perfectly mirrored the required team size for the elite university competition. Above these 20 seats, a massive rectangular display screen faced 4 cardinal directions, clearly intended for spectators. Flanking the central area were tiered rows of seating, ascending height the grand viewing gallery for the audience. From Robert's explanation, Ethan understood that all permissions for this venue had been granted. This was no mere temporary identity space like the Crystal Spire Hall here. Their registration established a true, permanent digital existence. It was the full-fledged registry system. After signing in, they could even link up with others as friends, sharing the same virtual expanse. "Let's get in first," Ethan suggested, his voice steady. "Good," Mibruk chorused, moving to find their seats and settling down. On the screen that flickered to life, 5 distinct flags appeared: a brilliant red flag, a star-spangled banner, a 12-pointed emblem, a 6-star Union Jack, and a deep forest green standard. They represent the 5 global superpowers currently dominating Earth. This virtual reality was not merely an experiment. It was a joint creation of these 5 colossal powers. The system displayed a welcome message to virtual reality. "Scanning you." As expected, unlike their previous experience, user identification required a rigorous scan. Identity confirmed. Ethan's country of origin was the Edoria Dominion, and his identity number was recorded. Once his identity was successfully verified, Ethan's consciousness slipped into the digital space. Notifications appeared. Clara had sent him a friend request, and Daniel had also sent him one. While he waited to figure out how to bring the others into sync with him, notifications for his 4 teammates appeared sequentially. It was crucial to remember that Clara, Daniel, Marcus, and Owen all hailed from immensely wealthy families. They were accustomed to virtual reality, their homes housed dedicated VR chairs, and they had logged in countless times. Naturally, they possessed an intimate knowledge of the system's inner workings. Ethan accepted each friend request without hesitation. Clara requested access to his space, and Daniel also requested access to his space. The requests continued until he agreed to all of them. Instantly, the figures of his teammates materialized before him. They had already changed into their respective battle suits within their own private spaces beforehand. "Brother Ethan," Marcus began, raising and clashing his fists together in a practiced motion. "Tell us, how should we approach our training?" "No need to rush," Ethan advised. "The most vital element of any team is its formation. Let's establish that first." Ethan waved his hand, and instantly, a sheet of parchment and a pen appeared in his grasp. "Now that we are officially teammates, there can be no secrets. We must all reveal our abilities, nothing held back. Knowing each other's strengths will streamline our cooperation and allow me to make the most informed decisions." His tone was solemn, carrying the weight of strategy. Marcus took the lead, introducing himself with confidence. I awakened the S-class ability Vajra Profound Earth, currently at the lower level of the second tier. I wield a large sword, and my abilities are geared toward defense. Daniel adjusted his glasses, a faint smile touching his lips. As he spoke, one of his pupils briefly flashed a light green hue. And me. I awakened the S-class ability Storm Eye, also at the lower level of the second tier. I favor the Longsword, my abilities lean toward speed. Next, the Fern's turn. I awakened the S-class ability Bone Corroding Toxin, lower level of the second tier. Daggers are my preferred weapon, and my skills specialize in sneak attacks, or rather, precise thrusting. Owen stepped up next. I awakened the S-class ability Natural Spirit, grass type, also at the lower level of the second tier. A longsword works well, but a staff is equally effective. My abilities are primarily supportive. Finally, Clara introduced herself with an air of open generosity. While she possessed offensive capabilities, compared to the three who had spoken before her, her output was less pronounced. However, her support skills were vastly superior. What I awakened as the S-class ability Ice Crown, ice type, lower level of the third tier. A spear suits me best, and my abilities, well, are quite balanced all around. Since they were now a unit, there was no need for pretense. Moreover, Ethan had never been one to conceal his own strength. He spoke calmly, as if detailing something trivial. But the others exchanged looks of profound shock. The lower level of the third tier represented an entire developmental tier above them. During the freshman competition, he had only registered as a second-tier student. Clara's almond eyes held a flicker of sheer wonder. She was unaware that when Ethan first arrived at the school, he was merely an awakened one, not even a superpowered one. Yet now he stood leagues ahead. Only Owen managed to mask his surprise with a knowing smile. After all, he knew Ethan had once single-handedly taken down a third-tier high-level ferocious beast. "Captain," Owen teased, a wide grin spreading across his face. "With you here, shouldn't we just sweep the opponents aside? What is the point of training?" Ethan remained silent for a beat, merely casting a cool glance at Owen. "I was only joking," Owen quickly chuckled, suddenly self-conscious. While his teammates were exchanging introductions, Ethan had been quietly scribbling and sketching on the parchment. When he finally presented the paper, he began, "Since this is a team competition, we were never to face squad battles. The formation I've devised is as follows." The arrangement was not static. Ethan immediately proposed 3 different formations, each with its own tactical approach. This was purely theoretical for now. They would need to adapt their judgment based on the actual battlefield. "All right," Ethan concluded, a faint smile touching his lips. "Let's begin training." He waved his hand once more. The next moment, 5 ferocious beasts materialized before them. There was the speed-focused Gale Wolf, the Shadow Bat with terrifying ambush capabilities, the armored Rhinoceros boasting immense damage resistance, and a mutated female baboon, whose roar could amplify the fighting spirit of other monsters, while simultaneously disrupting their abilities. At the very heart of this monstrous formation stood a blazing tiger. Of course, to achieve the desired training effect, Ethan did not unleash his ultimate skill, Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array. But he also held nothing back. The arena was vast enough that by the time one wave of beasts fell, another would spawn in its place. Thus, the ensuing team training proved to be utterly comprehensive and brutal. The morning bled into afternoon. The first day of rigorous training had reached its simple conclusion. From now on, could we train from 9 in the morning until noon? Ethan inquired, his voice bearing a note of hopeful exhaustion. A chorus of affirmative cheers rose from the group. "Yes! Yes! Brother Ethan, I'll do whatever you say." The collective nod was unanimous. Once the physical demands subsided, the students slowly regained their composure and lifted their helmets. With that, they filed out of the training hall. As they passed, Clara caught up to Ethan. "By the way, Ethan, I made an excess batch of croissants this morning. I can't finish them. They're still in my dorm. Would you like some?" "Oh really? That's wonderful. Thank you so much." Ethan accepted her offer with genuine gratitude. It had to be admitted that the snacks Clara habitually prepared always struck a chord with Ethan's palate. Though every bite was delicious, he felt too self-conscious to ask for them directly. Clara seemed to possess an intuitive understanding of his fondness for food, and was always ready to share her bounty. For someone who cooked often, receiving such casual recognition from others was a profound encouragement, a quiet joy that settled deep in the chest. Observing this exchange, Daniel rested his chin on his hands, his expression suddenly thoughtful. The memory of the freshman competition flashed through his mind. Soon, a knowing smile spread across his face. He seemed to have all the answers. He blinked rapidly at Owen beside him. Owen instantly understood the silent signal and returned a matching, conspiratorial grin. You too? Why are you blinking so much? Are you unwell? You were perfectly fine just moments ago. The honest, straightforward Marcus failed to connect with their subtle exchange. Well, Owen sighed dramatically, conveying that Marcus was utterly incorrigible. Look, Owen and I have companion beasts who are feeling under the weather. So we really must take our leave now. Daniel spoke in a rush, projecting an air of urgent necessity. Owen quickly followed suit, adopting an equally frantic tone. Yes, my cooker is having a rough time and hasn't been eating properly lately. I need to go check on him. Sidkako was Owen's scorpion companion. Before they could finish their fabricated excuses, the two men executed a hasty retreat. During this brief flurry of activity, Marcus racked his brain until he finally pieced together what was happening. He watched them go and followed in their wake. Clara blinked, slowly coming to her senses. She realized that when they had first emerged, there were 5 people present, but now only she and Ethan remained. Where did they all go? She asked, a note of genuine curiosity in her voice. They all had something else to attend to, Ethan replied calmly. A low, unmistakable rumble echoed from Clara's midsection. Her pretty face instantly flushed crimson. She lowered her head, suddenly overcome with acute embarrassment and unsure how to address the sound. Ethan didn't think it was a big deal. No one entirely controls such bodily functions. He reached into his spatial ring and retrieved a packaged compressed biscuit, offering it gently to Clara. Having recovered from her awkwardness, Clara had initially intended to retrieve food from her own supplies. Seeing Ethan's gesture, she accepted the biscuits, whispering softly, "Thank you." Ethan smiled, acknowledging her thanks with a simple nod. That afternoon, Ethan traveled to his teacher Thomas's residence. When he had first broken through to the master level of marksmanship, he had been captivated by the skills that his master claimed could only be mastered at this advanced tier. The first skill was comparable to his own, Extreme Ice Illusion Killing Array, an SS-level masterpiece. Just as Ethan approached the house, a familiar figure intercepted him. It was his senior brother, Michael. He had just stepped out of Thomas's residence, skipping and hopping with an unadulterated, beaming joy. "Senior brother Michael, good afternoon. What has you so happy?" Ethan greeted him, curiosity coloring his tone. Michael laughed heartily. My skill. I finally broke through to the advanced proficiency level. My mentor already taught me Ice Blast." After exchanging a few words of congratulations, Ethan entered Thomas's residence. "Ethan, what brings you here to see your master this time?" Thomas asked from his sofa, an air of keen interest about him. He was simultaneously brewing himself a pot of tea. "Teacher," Ethan began, "my marksmanship has reached the master level." He paused, then continued, "You mentioned before that once my skill reached this level, you would grant me an SS-level skill book to learn." He rubbed his hands together, displaying an expectant eagerness. Thomas's twinkled. "You advance so quickly. Show me a few moves." Next, Ethan and Thomas moved to the backyard. Ethan raised his Cold River sky-splitting spear, demonstrating his technique. His marksmanship was exceptionally sharp, radiating palpable killing intent. In the span of 1 second, he thrust out 5 distinct shots in rapid succession. "Excellent. Excellent. Truly excellent. This is indeed master-level marksmanship." Thomas praised him 3 times in quick succession, his appreciation evident. "Then, teacher." Ethan's pupils widened slightly. "Come with me." Thomas didn't keep the suspense any longer and led him to the door of his bedroom. Half a minute later, Thomas emerged from the room and handed the promised skill book to Ethan. Ethan examined it closely. The thick tome bore 4 large, gleaming golden characters, "Frosty Spears Strike Repeatedly. A Frost Spear Combo, SS-level skill. After use, you enter a special state where the damage dealt by the spear is increased, and the more combos you perform, the greater the increase." Then, prompted by Thomas, Ethan turned to the next page. It can also materialize the ice-type elemental energy within the body into an enhanced version of the ice spear and fire it. The first 2 pages meticulously summarized its effects. To materialize the ice-type elemental energy within the body into an enhanced version of the ice spear. Ethan blinked, considering the text. This seemed like a superior alternative to his existing skill, Ice Blade. Yet, upon deeper reflection, he couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't quite so. Although the power was immense, at least the Ice Blade maintained a longer attack range than this new spear technique. "Thank you, teacher," Ethan said, ensuring he expressed his gratitude. "You are welcome, you deserve it." Thomas waved a dismissive hand. After departed, Thomas murmured to himself, "Ethan seems to have already reached the 3rd tier." He was indeed taken aback by Ethan's extraordinary pace of advancement. But then again, this was his disciple, a truly miraculous existence. It seemed far more reasonable now. Moreover, they were all his disciples, the stronger, the better. Tonight, Ethan bypassed the Crystal Spire Hall. Instead, he remained cocooned in the quiet solitude of his bedroom, the glow of his laptop illuminating the desk before him. "Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated," the adage echoed in his mind. Though his 3rd tier cultivation felt robust enough to face any challenge, caution was not merely advisable, it was paramount. His current focus was a deep dive into the potential competitors of the other 3 prestigious universities for their freshman competitions. While such information would never grace an official school website, the digital footprint of ambition was inescapable. Students, fueled by adrenaline and excitement, inevitably plastered every thrilling moment from the arena onto social media. Platforms like EchoStream and WhisperNet were flooded with videos and photos detailing the rival schools' freshman contests. Some posts boasted staggering likes. It was a harsh truth: in this world, one could not afford to play ignorance simply to gain an advantage. The stronger you were, the more resources and attention you would accrue. Participating in these 4 top-tier university competitions required no effort from him. Yet the stakes were immense. Not only did securing first place restore a school's reputation, but it subtly dictated the flow of student recruitment for the following year. Furthermore, the winning team received a substantial reward jointly funded by all 4 institutions, a tradition as immutable as the turning of the seasons. With a decisive click of the mouse, Ethan began his methodical sweep through endless streams of video footage. More than an hour dissolved into the glow of the screen. Finally, he compiled their names onto a sheet of paper: Andrew, Madison, and Jackson. Based on the collective evidence from various platforms, these 3 represented the apex of freshman talent from the rival schools. From Skyreach Institute, there was Andrew. His ability manifested as grass-type supernatural power, specializing in control. Ethan noted a comment thread that revealed Andrew's father was Tang Shan, a master whose A-level blue-gold grass had been eclipsed by Andrew's S-level purple-gold grass, a truly magnificent feat of lineage. This achievement reached its zenith when Andrew clinched first place at Summit Academy. The spectacle was undeniable. Next, Madison from Riverbend Institute. She possessed a rare psychic ability, allowing her to manipulate objects remotely. In one video clip, she had effortlessly neutralized an opponent's weapon with a mere surge of mental force, striking when the rival's guard dipped lowest. And finally, Jackson of Golden Gate College. He wielded the Dragon Soul Body, an S+ level combat-type superpower. His fighting style was pure ferocity. The footage showed him using what appeared to be nothing more than a boxing glove. His punches were devastatingly powerful, and hyper-realistic at one point. A single blow had shattered a large sword forged from D-grade alloy. "I hope your performance on the field doesn't disappoint me too much," Ethan mused, a faint, calculating smile touching his lips. The soft chime of the dormitory doorbell broke his concentration. "Master." Hara's voice drifted out as the smart management assistant announced the visitor. Who could it be? Ethan raised an eyebrow, a flicker of genuine curiosity crossing his features. He descended the spiral staircase to the ground floor and opened the door. Standing before him was a figure bathed in cool moonlight: Clara. Her hair was still damp, delicate strands clinging to her neck, carrying the faint, clean scent of her recent shower. The ethereal quality of the moonlight seemed to amplify her beauty, leaving Ethan momentarily breathless. "Ethan," Come try these egg tarts. Clara noticed his pause but offered no explanation for it. With a gentle smile, she handed him the freshly baked treats. Ethan's brow furrowed slightly. He realized this was becoming a pattern, Clara frequently sharing her baking with him, yet he found no displeasure in it. Good. He accepted them. He plucked one tart and brought it to his lips. The moment his teeth grazed the flaky crust, the thin layers dissolved instantly on his tongue, releasing an intoxicating wave of buttered aroma. The custard filling was perfectly balanced, sweet and creamy, offering a warmth that was neither too rich nor too intense. Only the delicate crispness of the pastry and the tender sweetness of the filling remained, intertwining in a perfect mouthful. It's delicious, Ethan admitted, speaking his truth. As long as you like it. Clara chuckled, her smile radiating the brightness of spring sunshine. As she prepared to leave, she paused, concern coloring her tone. Ethan, we have training tomorrow. You should get some rest. You too, Eva replied, his voice steady. Even Clara herself was unaware that a subtle current of care seemed to be growing between them, pulling her closer and closer to him. The next day, the group arrived at the designated hall well ahead of schedule. Wow, everyone's here with such enthusiasm. Ethan greeted them. Thank goodness I made it. Daniel adjusted his glasses, adopting his usual composed manner. Good morning, Ethan. Clara offered a warm greeting. Marcus and Owen followed suit, each offering their own unique acknowledgement. Ethan smiled faintly, gesturing for the group to gather closer. They complied instantly. Next, he retrieved the marked paper from his pocket and unfurled it completely, presenting it to all of them. Brother Ethan, this is. Owen's expression was a mixture of surprise and confusion. Daniel's right pupil shifted from black to a pale emerald green. He reached into his own pocket and produced a piece of paper. The writing upon it mirrored Ethan's almost exactly. A shade of Pang's smile passed between Ethan and Daniel. The connection felt like meeting a true kindred spirit. But the moment vanished. Ethan's smile faded, replaced by an intense strategics as he analyzed the situation. Andrew's abilities lean heavily toward control. He is grass type. Marcus, you must be vigilant against any attempts at manipulation. Among group, Marcus possessed the lowest agility, and his own grass-based ability was susceptible to earth-type countermeasures. Brother Ethan, I understand. Marcus nodded in acknowledgement. Madison is a psychic user. Everyone maintain your focus and be wary of any weapons used against you. Don't laugh at me, Owen, he warned. Owen immediately dropped his frivolous demeanor, scratching the back of his head. Jackson has awakened an S+ combat type ability. He is a powerhouse in close quarters. We cannot confront him head-on. We must prioritize neutralizing his teammates first. Wes. The group murmured their agreement, nodding in unison. All right, and concluded. That concludes the theoretical analysis. Now, let's enter the virtual reality and begin today's training. The group settled onto their respective seats, their consciousness gradually sinking into the manufactured depths of the simulation. Days bled into nights, days stacked one upon the next. Mornings were spent in grueling training with my 4 companions. Afternoons and evenings found me pushing my limits within the Crystal Spire Hall. Time ceased to be measured by clocks, but by sweat and exhaustion. Soon it was more than a week later, the day the freshman competition among the 4 most prestigious universities was set to begin. Days prior, Aethod Academy had transformed itself into a monument of meticulous preparation. Every banner hung with precision, every corner gleamed. The shrubbery wasn't merely trimmed, it was sculpted into flawless, geometric squares indistinguishable from polished cuboids. Fallen leaves were swept away until the ground shone clean. Every detail mattered. This competition held immense weight for the school's reputation, and no slackening would be tolerated. Ethan, Clara, and the others wore smiles of confident anticipation. The day they had waited for had finally arrived. The path of cultivation was a marathon, but it became infinitely more thrilling with formidable opponents lining the track. On this day, not only the 5 participants felt the electric buzz of excitement, but the entire student body did too. Why? Because during the period of the 4 great universities' freshman competitions, the whole campus enjoyed a holiday. To witness the brilliance of nationwide top-tier geniuses, to cultivate independently and surpass rivals, or simply to stay in the dorms and sleep until sunset. None of these options held the same allure. the vast majority of students would inevitably choose to gather, drawn by the spectacle, the sheer admiration for power. Watching a match earned credits, yes, but more profoundly, it fed an insatiable curiosity for strength. According to my understanding, this competition was purely a contest between individuals with superpowers. Companion beasts were not required. Yet, I wouldn't be so cruel as to leave Piper hunting alone in the underground world at such a critical juncture. As a contestant myself, ensuring Piper had a prime seat among the spectators would be effortless. My mind soured and the control panel materialized before me. It displayed my spirit rating of 854 Hz, and my blood calories count of 2,171. During this period, I had maximized my intake of second-tier frozen yuan gathering liquid until my body protested. My attributes naturally rose in tandem. As for the skill Frost Spear combo, I hadn't even mastered it yet. Consequently, it remained blank on the panel, unupgradable. As soon as I dismissed the control panel, my phone vibrated wildly, followed by a ringing call. Unlocking the screen revealed it was my mother. Mum. What is it? I answered, keeping my tone casual. Das Yuan, is this competition for the 4 top universities starting soon? Be careful. Her voice crackled through the line, laced with genuine concern. It's fine, Mum. Don't worry. I will be careful, I affirmed smoothly. In truth, I had already informed her that the venue was a virtual reality simulation. Even death there would have no lasting impact on my physical self. But dealing the mother meant anticipating resistance, the need for me to say, I clearly said. Or, how could you forget? No, it wasn't worth the effort. My own had endured enough hardships. Her concern was genuine. If I ignored it, so be it. It wasn't a big deal. Why not just play along? She would be happy, wouldn't she? Okay. Xiaoan, I am very relieved that you are so sensible. Eleanor sounded pleased before hanging up. Around 8:30 a.m., several unfamiliar cars and buses rolled into Aethergate Academy, followed by a steady stream of coaches. Yet, the security guards waved them through without question, because these vehicles carried teachers, contestants, and spectators from the other 3 prestigious universities. They were guided to the central playground. Their 4 distinct sections of seating were arranged in neat rows, each marked with a label designating its corresponding school. The attendees settled into their seats. A grand assembly was scheduled before the official competition could begin, a ceremony akin to an opening address. It felt like going through motions. As soon as I sat down, Owen grew restless, turning around to scan his surroundings. On the far left is the team from Summit Academy, 3 men and 2 women. One of the women has quite fair skin, but alas, she seems a bit robust. To the left, the Golden Gate College squad, 4 men and 1 woman. Is that girl's musculature really that defined? Seeing this, Owen couldn't help but shake his head in mock disbelief. The single female member of the Golden Gate College team displayed a physique that ranked second among the 5 members, only surpassed by the team leader, Jackson. And on the right, the Reborn Institute team, 2 men and 3 women. A tall, mature woman in black stockings would look incredible, and there's also a cute little girl with twin ponytails. Not bad. They're all my type, hee. A slightly lewd smile crept across Owen's face. That was it, the gleam of a man admiring beautiful women. Owen, what you looking at? Daniel approached with an overly bright smile. Nothing, I didn't see anything. Owen chose to play the fool, refusing to admit his gaze. Just a friendly reminder. They are from Riverbend Institute. After speaking, Daniel turned back, his expression hardening slightly. Riverbend Institute of Extraordinary Power Bar. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Upon realizing the implication, Owen shuddered in genuine fright, regret flashing across his pupils. He let out a long sigh. A few minutes later, I realized they were simply students from Riverbend Institute. It didn't mean they hailed from the province itself. Brother Daniel. Owen chuckled, a smile that suggested he saw through all of Daniel's pretense. You still try to mislead me. The conference continued. A representative for this year's competition addressed the gathering. The event would span 4 days. As for the specific schedule, the official kept it vague, promising details tomorrow. After all, contestants had traveled great distances and deserved a day of rest. Tomorrow was when the real battle began. Next, safety protocols were emphasized. Soon after, the team leader stepped onto the stage to speak. Ethan, Andrew, Jackson, Madison. Their words were brief, Yet they resonated with an unwavering confidence, a palpable surge of vigor and high spirits. Finally, Robert, the principal of Aethelgard Academy, announced the conclusion of the conference. After the conference, everyone was advised to take a day of rest to recharge their energies. Just as Ethan turned to leave, a voice sliced through the air, sharp and accusatory. "He doesn't come here with good intentions." The thought flared in Ethan's mind. He pivoted his head away, only to find 3 men and 2 women approaching them. Leading the group was none other than Andrew, captain of the Summit Academy team. A mocking smile stretched across Andrew's face. "Ethan, do your best tomorrow. Don't let me down." His lips curled into a lingering smirk, laced with unmistakable contempt, making him unbearably irritating. Everyone has their own brand of personality, Ethan thought wryly. Perhaps it's simply inherited from his father. "Don't worry," Ethan countered smoothly, meeting the challenge head-on. "I will definitely not let you down. I plan to make you despair." As the saying went, courtesy demanded a response. And if Andrew had chosen to jump straight into confrontation with such harsh remarks, Ethan would naturally meet him on that same level. "Really?" And waved a dismissive hand, radiating an air of utter nonchalance. He then turned and left with his team captain. Whispered Emma beside her. "Andrew seems incredibly arrogant. Isn't he using the grass element? It should be countered by Ethan's ice element, yet he still acts so cocky." Madison waved a hand, her expression shifting into that of an amused spectator watching a play unfold. "Never mind him. Just wait and see the show tomorrow." Owen stepped closer, her brow furrowed with puzzled concern. "Captain, Andrew definitely knows you wield the ice element, yet he still dares to be so presumptuous." Daniel to deep thought, observing the exchange. Ethan shrugged, his demeanor casual, and addressed Emma. "Isn't it normal to have a trump card? These days, who doesn't keep some hidden cards up their sleeve? Just deal with whatever comes our way." "That's true." Owen rested her chin on her hand, murmuring softly, "Emma." A smile touched Ethan's lips. While others might not know Emma, every member of their team did. "Captain is now a 3rd-tier lower-rank realm," he mused. "His spirit and key blood attributes must be terrifying." With the captain present, Owen's only expectation was the jaw-dropping expression that would bloom across Andrew's face after witnessing his true strength. The next day, an hour before the first battle, the seats from the 3rd row onwards were already packed. The front row belonged to the principal and the mentors of the 4 great famous schools contestants: Thomas, Ethan's teacher, Xia Zhuan, Clara's aunt, and others like them. The second row was reserved for the team's companion beast: Ethan's beast, Clara's beast, Grace, and the others. The 5 companions: snake, dragon, eagle, bear, and scorpion sat together, chatting, and wow, the companion beast is so cute. The sight of him interacting caused the eyes of a girl sitting behind them to sparkle. Every time a team walked in from outside, it was met with a loud roar from the audience. "Crystal Academy! Crystal Academy, you're the best! Crystal Academy, you're the strongest! Go Vela College! Vela College, you will win!" It felt as if whoever shouted the loudest would claim the championship title. The students from each school poured their energy into the cheers, creating a rising tide of sound like a landslide or a tsunami. Yet, since this was Grand Citadel Academy, the crowd naturally leaned toward their own university's fervor. By the sheer volume of shouts, Grand Citadel Academy ultimately emerged as the victor. "Wow, I heard it's 4 days this time, a full day longer than usual. This is even better. Didn't you hear me when I was acting like an audience member at the conference yesterday? Wait a minute. Is that the beautiful lady walking over there? Senior Sister Jiang." The 2 boys were whispering to each other. Her exceptionally beautiful silver-white hair was simply too captivating. Just as one boy prepared to answer, he noticed her approaching from a distance, her figure swaying with effortless grace. "Don't dream about it. Senior Sister Jiang hasn't been here for 2 years. "Wait, really, is Senior Sister Jiang?" The other boy initially doubted his eyes, but then glanced again, and his pupils widened in disbelief. "Oh my God. If I could get together with Senior Sister Jiang, I'd be willing to drive luxury cars and live in mansions." "What, be so greedy? You want everything good, huh? What else is there to say? Draw your sword, brother." Slowly, many people turned their attention towards Sarah's arrival, sparking a fresh wave of excited chatter. It was perfectly natural, after all. Sarah was the student with the highest academic ranking at Grand Citadel Academy. Sarah was already accustomed to this reception. Her expression remained calm and composed as she settled into the second row. The results from the previous 2 years had been underwhelming. She was nowhere near the peak of her former glory. Instead of merely spectating, why not go the trial spire and undergo the trials herself? However, Ethan's heaven-defying performance had piqued her interest. This made her attend the audience for the first time ever. Capability: a Tier 3 high-rank vicious beast. Junior Ethan, Sarah's blue-purple pupils held a flicker of light. I wonder if you are truly as strong as my cousin claims to be. Good morning, fellow contestants, mentors, and students watching the competition. A booming voice echoed through the arena. Welcome everyone to the 2052 Four Great Schools Freshman Competition. I am the principal in charge. Noah appeared on a floating platform. With a wave of his hand, images instantly materialized across 4 massive screens above them, commanding everyone's attention. The Four Great Schools Freshman Competition will last for 4 days. The overall person in charge detailed the rules. On the first and second days, 2-on-2 matches will be randomly selected. The losers will enter the losers bracket. Day 1 features a morning match and an afternoon match. On day 2, the losers will compete to advance, and those who fall in the losers bracket will be eliminated. On the third day, 3 teams will simultaneously face a formidable vicious beast within the virtual reality simulation, and the top 2 teams will advance. Finally, on the fourth day, the last 2 remaining teams will face off. He paused for dramatic effect. Furthermore, each match consists of 5 one-on-one matches plus 1 team match. A single win is worth 1 point, a team victory is worth 2.5. The team with the highest total score after 6 matches wins the overall match. The detailed schedule for the 4 days was displayed on the screen. I think adding the Vicious Beast matchup this year is a particularly brilliant feature. Someone murmured. Actually, having one more day would be pretty good. Seeing this, many students watching couldn't help but mutter in unison. Now, Noah announced, his voice carrying across the vast arena, that a representative from one of the 4 great famous schools would approach the stage to draw lots. The space ring adorning his finger pulsed with a faint light. Moments later, 4 identical slips of paper materialized in Noah's hand. These were no ordinary pieces of parchment. They were specialized mental energy shielding papers, crafted from rare materials and immensely costly. They were also marvelously versatile, free to assemble, and writable with pure mental force. Yet, their most critical function lay in their ability to cloak external psychic energy from perception, rendering the instructors on stage blind to any magical probing. Ethan is the team captain, Robert suggested gently to Thomas. It would be more prudent for instructor Thomas to draw. Indeed, the other mentors, agreeing with the sentiment. Thomas felt a sudden warmth bloom in his chest. Without even knowing if he would have to participate, he wouldn't bother attending. My judgment was flawless, he thought, a wave of smug satisfaction washing over him. This student is worth every bit of attention. Captain, Owen asked, a playful smile gracing his lips. Which opponent do you think Instructor Thomas will draw for us? Ethan's expression remained utterly unreadable. Perfect the most. I have no idea, he replied flatly. And frankly, I don't care. Andrew, standing to the side, crossed his arms over his chest, a faint, predatory smile playing on his lips. Ethan, you are awfully boastful. Aren't you afraid of biting off more than you can chew? You'd better pray you don't run into Summit Academy. The others exchanged glances, showing no sign of being provoked. In fact, they regarded Andrew as if he were a fool. Ethan, however, acted as if the words had never been spoken, his demeanor unchanging. His strategy was pure, icy indifference. To Andrew's eyes, this profound lack of reaction was far more intimidating than any outburst. Ethan, Andrew murmured, letting the challenge hang in the air. Do you truly believe your ice element is potent enough to fell a 3rd-tier lower-ranked player? Does the blazing flame tiger realm guarantee victory? Andrew did not raise his voice, he merely chuckled. He had already prepared a trump card, a move that would leave Ethan utterly defenseless. Then we shall see how you manage your laughter. While the 2 sides exchanged their barbed words, the mentors from each school moved to the stage and drew their lots from Noah's hands. After retrieving their slips, the groups unfolded them, displaying them openly for the cameras. The slips marked one belonged to Magic Capital University of Supernatural Abilities and Riverbend Institute. The slips marked two belonged to Grand Citadel Academy and Summit Academy. The meaning was self-evident. Excellent. Noah waved a hand, and the display screen instantly updated day 1 morning. Magic Capital University of Supernatural Abilities versus Riverbend Institute day 1 afternoon. Grand Citadel Academy versus Summit Academy. Men, please return to your seats. The competition is about to begin, Noah concluded. We've actually been paired together. Andrew scoffed with disdain. Ethan. Across the way, Owen and Marcus high-fived in triumphant celebration. Clara's brows relaxed, and a genuine smile returned to her face. Since Andrew had so brazenly challenged Ethan, she had been clenching her fists with intense displeasure. Now, by sheer fortune, they were matched. This is perfect, she thought fiercely. I can finally teach them a lesson in true strength. Strength is the only language that silences arrogance. Now. No called out. Please bring forward the teams from Modu University of Supernatural Abilities and Whisperwind Valley. Team members from both schools stepped onto the stage. The 10 students from Grand Citadel Academy and Peking sat on the benches, their gazes fixed intently on the screen. Ethan, in particular, watched everything with meticulous intensity, searching for any weakness or tell that either side might reveal during the match. The battle was about to erupt. First would be the singles matches. Both sides had to select players without knowing their opponent's choices. Crucially, once a player participated, win or lose, they were removed from individual combat. This structure injected an unpredictable element into the entire competition, thrilling even the spectators in the stands. Unfortunately for the audience, the Toucans did not face off as singles competitors. A collective sigh of disappointment swept through the school's sections. 5 single matches had been fought. The current score stood at 3-2, giving Magic Capital a slight edge. But Ethan knew that whether it was 3-2 or 2-3, the margin mattered little. As long as they won the final team battle, victory was assured. Only a massive deficit, a 1-4 score, for instance, would truly threaten their momentum. Madison's individual talent is too formidable, and his will is unbreakable. Madison, the captain of Riverbend Institute, murmured to her teammates. My mentality won't penetrate him easily. We should focus on his teammates first, saving him for last. The group nodded in agreement. On the opposing bench, Jackson simply gathered all his teammates behind him like a shield. The team battle began. Several students who had been scrolling through their phones looked up sharply. This was infinitely more compelling than any one-on-one duel. Behold my fireball. Lightning, strike me down. After initial probing exchange, the combat escalated into fierce intensity. Dragon Soul form. Jackson muttered the command. This was Jackson's full unleashing of his supernatural might. In the next instant, every person present seemed to hear a primal dragon's roar. Even among the weaker students in the stands, tremors ran uncontrollably through their bodies. Several small, golden dragon phantoms drifted erratically around Jackson. Rising Dragon Fist. Jackson spotted a target, strode forward, and threw a devastating punch. A phantom image of a scarlet dragon materialized behind his fist. The man was instantly hurled back, collapsing to the ground in a spray of blood, barely clinging to life. Simultaneously, a student from Magic Capital University was ambushed and felled. After a brutal struggle, only Jackson, Madison, and the little girl remained standing. Yet, judging by Jackson's posture, he had not expended his full strength. In stark contrast, Madison was visibly gasping for breath. Finally, Jackson stood on the stage, breathing evenly, a few beads of sweat tracing paths down his forehead. As rank ability is indeed terrifying. I am not afraid of being outnumbered in a 1-on-2 scenario. The team victory signaled a triumphant start for Magic Capital University of Supernatural Abilities. Jackson's bodying technique appears to be at the triple level, Ethan observed, a glint flashing in his eyes as he thought to himself. He is definitely a worthy opponent. The morning's matches had finally concluded, leaving a palpable residue of adrenaline in the air. A thunderous wave of screams and applause washed over the stands, vibrating through the very foundations of the arena. For many young women, their hearts felt as if they were physically overflowing from their chests. The overwhelming majority of this fervor was directed toward one individual, Jackson, the captain of Awakener Crest College. He stood tall and powerfully built, a physique honed by rigorous training. Yet, he wasn't merely brute strength, his movements possessed the liquid grace of a striking serpent. In the end, facing two opponents at once, all he managed to secure was a slightly dirty hem, a meager victory that still sparked gasps of admiration. The 10 participants slowly surfaced from their virtual reality haze, blinking into the mundane light. "Captain, he's too strong," whispered a girl from the Silverstream College team, her voice laced with awe and disbelief. "Yeah," Madison sighed, shaking her head in defeat. "I feel completely wiped out." "Sigh. Let's just pray we manage to scrape by in the loser's bracket tomorrow," she murmured. Among them was another teammate who remained silent. His slightly trembling pupils betrayed a profound shock. He was the one sent flying by Jackson's punch, and the impact still seemed to echo through his bones. With the morning spectacle over, lingering felt unnecessary. It was lunchtime. "Classmate Ethan, hurry up. If we don't move, the cafeteria's going to be a nightmare," Clara called out, her voice clear and melodious as a struck silver bell. Given the sheer volume of spectators, students from their own school mixed with rivals from across the city, they would all inevitably converge on the nearest dining hall. Ethan agreed, falling into step beside Clara as they left the area. Not far away, Andrew watched the pair depart, a mask of disdain settling over his features. "It seems," he mused, a bitter edge creeping into his thoughts, "Ethan and that beautiful woman share quite the rapport." A predatory smile touched his lips. "When the official matches begin this afternoon, I'm going to make Ethan lose face completely. In the end, only you can be the one who receives all the applause." After lunch, a short nap was taken. When he awoke, the clock read 2:30 p.m. Many people had arrived early for breakfast, determined to stake out prime seating spots. The crowd today surpassed even the morning's turnout. After all, this was a competition featuring students from their own institution. Even if they are limited, they stood shoulder to shoulder, forming an electric mass of anticipation. Were the matches this morning exciting? Wonderful. Not enough. No, spoke with a leading, dramatic tone addressing Emma. He waved his hand sharply. Nearby cannons fired in rapid succession. Emotion, he knew, was contagious. The sudden bursts of noise sent the crowd into a frenzy of screams, ratcheting up the atmosphere tenfold. Flanked to the fervent gazes of students from Grand Citadel Academy and Summit Academy, the two teams appeared on stage, taking their designated seats and donning their helmets. Simultaneously, the 10 participants' consciousnesses were drawn back into the virtual reality. On the massive screen overhead, 10 figures materialized. Just then, Thomas received a message, a distinct ripple in his mental energy. The transmission was profoundly secretive. Only someone at least 2 great realms above him could detect it. Upon receiving the telepathic signal, Thomas's gaze involuntarily drifted toward the first row of seats belonging to Summit Academy. The sender was none other than Andrew's father, William. A history, a little-known chapter flashed through his mind. Thomas and William had once been roommates at Grand Citadel Academy, over 20 years ago. They had formed a battle team, with one as captain and the other as vice-captain. But during an underground world event, fearing for his own life, William had abandoned the team and fled alone. To their astonishment, Thomas and several others survived miraculously. When the group finally returned alive, William had attempted to rationalize his betrayal. It was at that point they parted ways. It was known that Emma William now taught at Summit Academy. Thomas felt a complex wave of emotion. He never expected to see William again, least of all here, at the 4 great schools' freshman competition. As for the content of Mental Energy's audio transmission, "Hey Dragon, long time no see. How about we make a bet?" William's voice echoed in his mind. "What kind of bet?" Thomas raised an eyebrow and returned the question via telepathy. "Let's wager whether Valor College or Skyreach Institute will win this competition. Are you willing to play?" William quickly sent the message. "Why are you so eager to gamble? Tell me, what are the stakes?" The fact that William initiated the bet suggested a deep confidence in his son, Andrew. But Thomas was not afraid. His composure stemmed from an even greater certainty. He had more faith in Ethan. "How about we wager 2S grade resources? Whoever loses forfeits 2S grade resources," William proposed. What is so valuable about S-level resources? At most, they are worth tens of millions. Even combined, it's hardly a fortune. If you intend to gamble, go big, Thomas countered. To them now, 2 S-grade items were negligible. The bet was utterly pointless and insufficient to make William feel any real pinch. Then what else do you propose? William challenged. Since you are so confident, if I lose, I will hand over the blood-activating pill I possess. If you lose, I will give you an SS rank resource. Shall we bet on that? Thomas threw out his counteroffer. Hearing this through mental energy, William's brow furrowed slightly. Who would have expected Thomas to be so ruthlessly bold? He knew that a single Emma, or even an SS's rank resource, was worth at least several hundred million, often over $1 billion. More crucially, they were priceless and unobtainable by mere purchase. The blood-activating pill, while precious, was available, though not easily. After taking Esper, one's blood became unusually active. This opportunity could allow a person to almost break through to the 4th level of body tempering technique within a week. However, the pill could only be used on an Esper during their initial flesh and blood tempering. Therefore, its true value was at the SS level impressive, but still less potent than genuine S-rank resources. What does he need the blood-activating pill for? Could it be related to his disciple? It seems he truly cares about his student. William realized Thomas's underlying motive. But what good was recognition? Thinking of his son Andrew's hidden trump card, William's lips curled into a slight, confident smile. He used mental energy to transmit his voice, the tone brimming with exhilaration. You haven't changed at all, still as adventurous as ever. I accept. This time you won't be so lucky as before. It is rare for you to be so agreeable. Don't go back on your word later. Go back on my word. A grandmaster like me reneging on a promise. Wouldn't that damage my reputation? As for you, don't even think about backing out of this bet. A promise is a promise. Finally, the 2 streams of mental energy ended with Thomas's soft, triumphant chuckle.